Hey, Green River. Hey, son. Glad you're getting the notifications. Just fighting with my thread again, getting this respooled. Pulled it out by accident once again. Oh, that was hard to get through. There we go. It's in there now. Okay, as you can tell, we are going to be tying some much bigger flies today. So this was off a recommendation by Ewaz on yesterday's stream. So we're going to be tying up some Mickey fins, which are one of my favorite. It's a mix between coho and steelhead fly, but they work excellent for cohos. But good to have you in, son. Good to have you in, Green River. I'm doing excellent today. Thank you for asking. So we're going to start our thread right at our main tie-in point, which is generally want to do it about a bodkin width from the head. So you got a little bit of room there to build a head and also for your tie-in. It acts as a little bit of a measuring device, so you know where to start and stop. This is a fairly simple pattern. It's a lot of fun to tie. Just going to create a nice even thread base all the way to the back. And I'm going to have to support this hook. You can tie these on a lot thicker and sturdier hooks. Problem is, especially if you're going to be fly casting these, if you use a much more sturdy hook, then you're also going to run into the problems of it casting like a lead pillow. So I find that this one works the best. It's a Mustang. I think it's a size 1, if I remember off the top of my head. But it does a great job of having the length and sturdiness to get through everything. So we're just going to make a nice even thread wrap all the way to the back. Once we get to the back, we'll tie in our materials and we'll varnish our thread, and that'll give us a nice smooth surface to wrap on. As I muck it up, one second. Hey Pacific, good to have you in, mate. Doing some stuff up your alley today. Gonna do some Mickey fins, so some coho / steelhead hooks. May switch over to blue charms or maybe some black nose dances after this as well. But decided to switch out and do some streamer stuff for a bits. And we want to stop that right at the barb of the hook there, so we're not getting into the bend. A lot of times if you get even just a little bit into the bend there, it's going to curl down and the whole body will come apart a lot easier. The other option is you can tie just the body material into. Wonderful, cool. If I could send this to you quickly, I would. It probably wouldn't get there in time for you, though. I'm going to be sending one of these to Ewaz, even without the giveaway, just because he asked nicely. And I've been meaning to send him some stuff anyway. Hopefully he'll pop in today, but if he doesn't, that's fine. I think I already have his info. So we're just going to grab some large size tinsel here. And we're going to be tying in a small oval tinsel as well. You can use smaller tinsel, it just requires a lot more wrapping and is kind of a bit of a pain, to be honest. But you can definitely use it. Oh, okay. Well, I'll be doing, we'll see how things go. I'll probably be tying salmon slash steelhead stuff here for at least a good 2 weeks or so. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff to pick from. This is one of my favorites. If I'm gonna be tying this for like a bait cast or a spinning rod, I'll use a different type of hook that's quite a bit robust is the wrong word, but like a thicker wire. This is definitely like a thick enough wire. It's still quite a bit flexible, but if you get much thicker than this, it becomes really unwieldy to try to cast with a fly rod because it's already kind of a bigger. There you go. Yeah, if you're using like a bait caster, like an Arbo Garcia or what have you, I'll tie you up some on a much heavier shank hook, and then you'll probably be using like a drop weight or whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to want to tie this in the full length of the hook shank. So I'm actually going to bring this back. I'm going to be doing spiral wraps back. That'll leave little notches in, but it does help to catch the material. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a problem with a lot of steelhead slash coho areas is finding a place you can actually cast. It doesn't have trees like right behind you. Let's see if I can get this to lay a little flatter just to get that first bit tied in. Oh, thank you, mate. Be really no reason for me to be here without the awesome community, so it goes both ways. And again, just going to be tying this in. You want to have like even wraps, but they can be open spirals like this. There's a couple reasons for that. You do want a smooth body, but you also want these segmentations from the line actually help. So I'm going to be putting some head cement on here. You can use super glue as well, and they help to capture the super glue. If you're just doing it on a bare shank, because the other way to do this, which a lot of people do, and it's not like the wrong way or anything by any means, is they'll tie this up front and then wrap it back on bare shank. You can do that, but in my experience, it will come apart much quicker. And we're gonna go back to right about here for the main body tinsel. So this is a small, size small uni French. I'll grab the spool. Where did I put you down? There you are. So size small, uni French silver tinsel. You can use silver thread. I have this nice one that I also like to use. This one's it's a lot stronger. It's not as bright, but it's made in France. It's some really old vintage stuff, so it's really well made, like the French silk. You can also find this at like Michael's or what have you, just silver thread. If you can't find the oval tinsel, the oval stuff is the OG tie-in, but this will go just as well. And like we were talking about for bait casting and stuff, doubling this up and then spinning it through, it'll be a lot more durable for the bait caster. It takes a little bit more of a beating if it's banging around on the bottom if you're throwing it with some lead. Where did I just put it? I just took out my tinsel. There it is. Okay, I do like to use a larger tinsel for this. You can see I try to get it roughly about the thickness of the shank of the hook once I have my materials on it. You can size up and size down based on what size hook you're tying this on. You can tie these all the way down to like a 12. Now this is a rather large. I don't typically go bigger than this, but you definitely can. There's not generally a whole lot of call to go bigger, like I said, other than just having a beefier hook for bait caster, or if you're trolling even. So, got that cut off. We're going to cut it off on a nice angle like that and tie that in. I'm going to attempt to make as little of a bump here as I can, because we want to have a nice smooth body all the way back. There we go. That'll work. Okay, and then just open spirals back up to the top here, just like we did in the first one. I'm going to turn the fly in here a sec here so you can see the wrapping a little bit better. Since I tied it on my side, but you can see the open wraps there. I don't know if he does drones or not. Hopefully he'll answer you there. Oh, did Vintage pop in? Hey, Cool Cat. Hey, Vintage. Good to have you both in here. Sounds like you got competition in the drone world. Okay, so this is one of those kind of love it or hate it steps. Some people love it, some people hate it. It can be messy. It will drastically increase the durability of your fly, however. And I do typically beat these up. The coho and steelhead in this area like to hang out in gravel beds, which means a lot of large, lumpy rocks. So they do get, you're almost bouncing it along the bottom. And you really don't need a lot of this, but you do need to cover it. And as you wrap that, the first tinsel, it will squish it kind of forward. If you get anything that squishes out, it's not a big deal as long as you get to it fairly quickly. If you are using super glue, which works just as well and is very, very common, a lot of people will use Zap-A-Gap here, or a little bit of Sally Hansen's honestly works well as well. You just have a lot less working time with it. This one I have at least, a couple minutes of working time before it gets too solid. Okay, and I'm just going to do a quick half hitch, which I forgot to do. Probably should have done that before I put the glue on. Give me a little more working time. That's good. So just 2 half hitches, just because we're going to throw this in the bob and cradle, just to get that out of the way. Now you can wrap this by hand. It just works a lot quicker and easier with the rotary. So we're going to go that direction. You want to keep that nice and tight and clean to the back for the first wrap. And then you're over wrapping about halfway, and you should kind of see a little push out mark where your over wrap is going to be. But if you get the angle right, which is just a little bit off center, then as you wrap, it should kind of just hit the money spot. Now after you do a couple, you're going to get, every vise is going to be a little different on this. And like I said, you can definitely hand wrap this yourself. You just typically won't be as smooth. There we go. There you go. Well, that's cool. You can do a collab and get some drone footage. And unfortunately, in like any outdoor community, there's a good bit of like Pacific Northwest somethings out there. So, but he is the only one and only Pacific Northwest fishing. Okay, so you'll end up with like a little bit of a kinked, and that's perfectly fine because that's exactly the look we're going for. You don't want to have it absolutely perfectly smooth, but you do want to have just a little bit of that crinkle, and the crinkle effect is from the overlap that you're doing, just slight overlap from one to the other. There you go. Well, I say so, so that's the way it is. When I originally started tying these back in the day, I would actually just use the silver mylar tube that you put over the body, and that works really well. It's quick and easy, and it gives it a thicker body, and you can have a nice kind of like minnow belly. I'd like to do that where I pull it down. We're going to be getting into that in some flies. Thank you. You can, again, put more glue on here and do the Zap-A-Gap thing. I find it just gets messy, and like I have a tendency to touch it too much. What I will do is I'm going to do a very, very brief, quick varnish. So anything that you have that's smooth, really, I mean, you can buy actual varnishing tools that are made of agate. If you want to, spend that kind of money, fill your boots. But anything, honestly, that's fairly soft, yet smooth, like the end of my tool here, works perfectly fine. And all I'm doing is if there are any tips that are standing up, it's just going to push those down. And I'm just going to do a very quick varnish on that. Not necessary, it's more of a Instagram fly thing to give you that really nice look, but it does help with your wrap of the oval wire that we're going to be tying in, or thread, or whatever you have. I've seen people do different combinations here too, where you can have the silver uni in gold or bronze or copper or different things as well, and it gives you a really kind of cool multi-tone look there. For the first wrap, I'm going to do it by hand because I want to have that very first wrap right at the back of the tinsel, just like so. That'll again hold it in so that it's less likely to slide, and then we'll get a deeper angle this time. Not quite a 45-degree angle, but pretty close, and then we'll just wrap that evenly all the way down the shank. And it's a very, very slight difference, but when it's in the water, that rib will catch a ton of light, and with the deer hair fluttering around it, it looks a lot like a shiny fish body. Keep hitting my bobbin cradle here. Behave yourself. Come on, let me get this tied in. There we go. So, really simple. It's a really simple procedure, but it's also very difficult at the same time. It looks super easy, and like once you've done a couple dozen of them, it's not so bad. But it's just like doing quill wings, where it looks a lot easier than in reality what it actually is. So if you do the first one and it's all kinky and you got little pop-outs, which I'm sure I will do after tying a few of these, that's perfectly normal. The fish won't care at all. The biggest problem with the pop-outs, if you're using this larger tinsel, it's fairly it's fairly thick, which makes it more durable for the body, but the problem is when it kinks. I'll see if I can do this here. There we go. So if you kink it like so as you're wrapping, which will happen, or if there's already a kink in it, you want to cut that piece out and not use it. That kink when you wrap, it'll look, this is exaggerated like hugely just so you get the idea. But if that kink is sticking out on here when you're wrapping your thread, it can actually be quite sharp and can actually cut this or cause it to jump left or right. So if you're having a lot of trouble tying these in and it's really frustrating you, it's probably because your tinsel has kinks in it like that. So be mindful. You can definitely make the kinks work. Like there's some little bit of damage down here. The best thing you can do if you have kinks in there is just to take your thumbnail and run it backwards over it. So if the kink is one way, and then you'll kink it back the opposite direction, and that will smooth the kink out enough that it typically will wrap as you're wrapping it back the way it works, or back the correct direction, so it doesn't stick out as much. It's a bit of a fight. That's why I'm bringing it up, because it can be a bit of a pain in the butt to get it to lay nice and flat like that. But again, it's a practice thing. So do it a bunch of times, couple dozen, you'll be good to go. Again, not for the fish, just for you. Yeah, and there's like a little, well actually I shouldn't say a little, there's a good bit of stretch in any mylar. And that's a bit of a personal preference on how much pressure you want to put on it. The more you stretch it, the tighter it's going to stay and lay there. The downside to that, though, is it's also going to... Yeah, if you get over tight, it is plastic, so you're weakening it, and it will... you're bringing it closer to this breaking point, so... You can play around with how much tension you put on. But I'm happy with that. That's a nice, shiny... That's a wonderful body. I'm really happy with that one. If yours look anything like that, you're golden. But again, easy steps, can be frustrating. Just keep working at it. You'll get it. Nice thing about Mylar tinsel is it's cheap as borscht. You can literally take like a potato chip bag, cut it up, and make this fly, right? In fact, that's a great video idea. Maybe I should do that. I do make some... Yeah, you gotta go... It's a combination of speed, tension, and... What's the word I'm looking for? Speed, tension, and... the amount that you overlap, I suppose. But you'll get it. Okay, so... traditional Mickey fin, I'm going to be doing a slight difference on it just because I really find that this works well for me. It's a very slight difference, however. Normally you would use yellow for your base, then... Where do we go here? Then red. And then yellow again. I like to go yellow, red, and then orange. It gives it a nice kind of sunset cast color to it, and I just find it works really well and just looks great. So very slight difference on the Mickey fins I'll be tying, just in that color difference. If you want to keep with the traditional pattern, it would be yellow, red, yellow. But we're going to go with yellow, red, orange. Okay. So for my yellow... I can't find my yellow bucktail, so we're just going to be using yellow body here. It'll be fine because we're just using a little bit, and the rest will hold it in there fine. Yeah, I got a bunch here. Yep, I got a whole bag full. These are really old. These are probably like, some of these are over 100 years old. Some of them are ridiculously old. Here's some actual gold leaf. That's why it's in a separate bag, but this is actual gold plated. This stuff's probably about 90 years old, and then I have some really old stuff from France. Like here's some actual, this is actually like sterling silver plated. And yeah, I tie like my very special flies. Like if I'm sending a fly to someone who I really like, and same with this one. This is about around 100 years old, from France as well. And yeah, you can see it's just a different color shade, and it's way softer. It's like almost like tying with really soft lead, because it's very, 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 very fine silver wire. But yeah, I have it here because I thought I might want to do one traditional fly. I have some in gold and silver and everything. So these are all my old spools that I've been collecting over the years. But yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, so traditionally this would have been tied with that stuff, but nowadays we use plastic. Yeah, most of the good stuff came from France. Not that the other stuff is bad or anything, that's just the classic, what everyone tries to find. If you can find the old French stuff, all the better. This piece of deer here is from my father-in-law, and one of the things he used to do is put bay leaves in with his deer hair because it makes the soup taste better. I'm kidding. It helps to keep bugs down and keeps the humidity for the hair proper. So that's why there's a bunch of bay leaves in here. We're gonna put those back in the bag. Yeah, you can use another common one that a lot of people use is just pickling spices. So the mix of spices you buy for pickling, they have peppercorns and bay leaves and different things in it, and just putting a little bit of that in each one of your fur bags. It makes them smell nice too. Helps get rid of that kind of stanky taxidermy smell. More tea. Okay. So again, I apologize I don't have my bucktail, but this will work perfectly fine. We're just going to take off some of this and stack it. Common, I don't want to say mistake because it's not really a mistake, but a common thing that a new tyer will do with these type of flies is they'll put drastically way too much material on. They're supposed to be a very, very sparse fly. So normally you take how much you think you're going to need and then half it. So this will be enough for like 2 flies probably for me. We'll see what it's like once I'm done cleaning it out, because there's a fair bit of short and broken fibers in here as well. Unfortunately, a lot of these flies are going to be me cleaning material, but getting all the floof out and everything. But man, are they ever fun and enjoyable to tie. So all these little bitsy pieces. I probably should have got some Scotch Guard for the static. Yeah, who am I kidding? I'm going to be wearing a lot of deer hair by the time this is all done anyway. Off my finger. There we go. So yeah, all these little short guys. There's not a lot in there. I picked this belly patch on purpose because it's really soft and it's fairly flexible, so it's going to work really well for that under patch. There's a large family of these flies in different colors and different setups and different names, of course, but in the end, the main thing that they're going to have is a fairly large blackhead. So you see I got a good bit of space up front there for that. They're going to have a silver body of some sort, whether it's mylar, gold, sometimes it'll be a bright like embroidery silk, but they're all pretty basic. You'll sometimes have a tail, most of them won't, but sometimes you'll have a shuck of color coming off for the tail, which will either contrast or match in with the overwing, and then a bright colored body or silver body, and then normally 2 to 3 colors coming off the back. Oh no. Yeah, gotta keep wife happy. Will drastically affect the amount of fish you're catching. We're just gonna tap this down. It's not crucial that we get this perfect or anything. It's more for me just to get rid of any short guys that were in there, because they're gonna just fall out. So there we go. Again, I probably got double what I need in here, so we'll separate it and save it for the next. Yeah, I got at least more than double what I need there. So I'm just going to measure off kind of where I want this to land. So it's going to be just a little bit past the end of the hook. So anything that is past, we'll say here, it's going to be too long. So I'm just going to pull forward now. That'll get me all the short guys out. I might be able to use these. I'm going to put them off to the side here. I can try restacking that. But you don't really want to mess around with the short guys because they're just going to fall out anyway. So there we go. So now we got about, like I said, probably, now that that's been removed, I always start with a little bit more because you can see that might even work, but it's still a bit. Oh, like it's just practice, mate. Like yeah, vinegar is a wonderful dye set, actually. I haven't done any dye stuff in a while, but if I did, I'd be doing it outside ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to separate this into two sets like that, so we have one for this fly and one for the next. And I'm just going to put this back. I'm not going to put it in the hair stacker, I'm just going to put it up here. Howdy, good to have you. Hey, Superfly. Sorry, man, I was looking down at my hair. Okay, so again, we just want just a sparse bit. So this is kind of the, you can think of this as like an underwing for the other two overwings. This is going to provide a little bit of structure. You can even use craft fur for this. I've done that numerous times. And then you use the bucktail over top. So if you don't have, like for whatever reason, I can't find my yellow bucktail, but it's fine. We're going to go with this. If you don't have whatever color bucktail you want, you can use something else like craft fur for this first wing because it's just a support and color structure for the other. So we're going to tie it in right, let's see, yeah, right about there. That looks good. We want it on top, so we're going to do a pinch loop, so just a soft wrap to start. Bring it down, just like half tension. Another soft loop, bring it down. It's about half the tension that you'd want, and then just really lightly moving forward here. Okay, and I'm not trying to flare that at all. I don't want it to flare, so really light tension. And now we're gonna go back and do the same thing here. I'm not gonna cut that off yet. I need some more line though. But that's gonna be a gauge of how much tension I'm putting on it, those tips. And I'm just gonna lightly wrap this back. Some light wraps there. I always seem to run out of line when I need it. Beauty. Okay, that's what we want. We want it. It's a little hard. That's actually incredibly hard to do with body hair, because body hair is what I'd be using to spin. This won't be as hard if you're using bucktail though. If you're using craft fur or body hair like this, it's so soft. So when you're torquing down on it, it'll poof up just like it would if you were spinning deer hair. But we want it to lay nice and flat like that. So very happy with that. You can see I'll turn it sideways. You can kind of see just how many wraps I'm doing. So each hey, yeah, no worries, mate. Like we were saying, the community here is just awesome, and I'm perfectly thrilled to be a part of it, because without you guys, there would be this channel wouldn't exist. There would be no point to it. No, I do that though, but I will do that if, not for this one specifically, simply because I have quite a large. You'll have to go back, or I'll show you on the next fly because I can't really undo this. But there's quite a large bed of thread there. That's about half the size. Well, you can see where it is, so about that size there. And then there's about half that size up ahead here that's going to be the head. And this is all gets tied in there on that thread. Yeah, and I should have probably pointed out why I was making that thread base. I apologize for that, but the thread base there, especially if you're using nylon, and you do want to use a nylon thread for this, not a GSP. Yeah. I use it for, like, if I'm doing a stimulator, or there's just not enough to warrant that in this case. If you're tying with, it depends a little bit on where you're getting your fur from on your tail too. So like if you're tying up here in the top here, these are almost like nylon strands. Like they're very not compressible. They're very dense. And if you, as you're working down to the bottom of your tail down here, these are a lot more hollow fiber, like you'd have from a body hair, deer hair like this. And these can compress quite a bit. So they'll flare more too as you go down. So if you're kind of coming to the end of your tail, or you just have a tail tip, you can put a lot more pressure with your thread on the fur up top here than you can down here, and it just kind of goes in a gradient as you go down. And each tail is going to be different too, mind you. I have some tails that flare like crazy, and other ones that, you know, may as well be nylon thread because they don't do hardly anything. But in this case, I didn't bother with the wrap. I've never really found a need for it. You may though. It is definitely a technique you could work into it if like all you're tying with is body hair like this and you need to keep it straight. Then yeah, you know, fill your boots, give it a twist, do like a single wrap. I like to cut off any of my waist bits like that and leave the tip open. A long time. I started tying when I was 6 and got really into it when I was 8, and started selling my flies shortly after then, about when I was 9. And besides cutting lawns and doing all the other stuff that kids do, it made the money to buy me video games and all the things I wanted. Yeah, that would be the same age then. Cheers, mate. Yeah, like I said, I have yellow somewhere. Do you think I could find it? No. I did find a much better red, though. This is a better red than the one I was using last time I was tying. This is a beautiful red, actually. It's, like, really nice. That being said, people that are learning now, people that are learning to tie now, there's so much more information and there's better mentors because you have a lot more access. It really is. This is a gorgeous tail. Really just absolutely beautiful tail, to be honest. It's like absolutely gorgeous, nice and thick, straight fibers, clean, doesn't smell. It's got some darker stuff on the back here. But yeah, there's so much more access now. Like take Brian for instance, right? Brian he's only been tying like a short time, and he was a tattoo artist before, so I think a lot of that kind of plays into it because he was an artist slash working with his hands, doing very minute stuff before that has to do with, you know, a lot of the same skills that we use. So yeah, you have a much higher chance of getting better quicker nowadays than you did when I started, for sure. You can get quicker a lot faster now, which is great. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. I am going to try to stack this. These are like 3 times longer than what I actually need. If I get some from down here, it won't be quite as long. Okay, and as we go up to, you're going to add a little bit. So we're adding about maybe 20% more deer hair each one we're putting on. And even if you're not going to use the whole thing, make sure you cut it down by your, cut it off clean down by your hide. It just makes your life easier as you work through the deer hair. Instead of having just a bunch of steps of, wow, this is really clean. You can see how much stronger this stuff is. It'd work better if I got it in frame compared to like the soft deer hair. There's not a lot really in this to clean out. There's a few broken ones though. Let's see that one. Okay, so I'm gonna stack this. It's not necessary. If you're doing a lot of these flies yourself, you'd really just, the easiest way to do this is to, maybe I'll do that. I don't think I'll have enough if I do it. But you can see how the tips kind of end in steps as it goes up. So if you cut a bigger chunk like this, like 3 times what you need, pull it out, and then you'll see it. I got about a third in my fingers and the rest are down there. I can now pull this part out that's in my fingers, and those tips will be pretty much lined up, and then the ones below it will be lined up again. So if you don't want to use a stacker, because honestly it is hard to stack this, that's a good way to kind of separate it a bit. And the other reason to do that is they are a little bit different on the fur side. So I'm gonna find a little happy spot here. These longer ones that I got in my fingers now. Yeah, a few people have been complaining about the whole notification thing just not working. So this finger here is going to get loose, and the top finger is going to stay tight, and I'm going to pull, and hopefully it'll come out nice. There we go. So now I just have these longer tips. These are almost like guard hairs. You can mix them back together like that. You can just restack it with your fingers. I'm going to save those. Where can I put them that I'm not going to lose them? I'll put you right here. There we go. I'm going to save those for the next fly, and we're just going to stack these ones. So your inner fibers, which are these guys, are going to be a lot softer. So the long ones that they have on the tail, they're almost like a guard hair, like the difference between the guard hairs on, say, a beaver. These ones are much more softer, and you're going to get a lot more better flow for something like a fly like this. I can see I got like 1 or 2 more of the longer hairs here, but that's not a huge deal. He's going to go hang out with his friends here instead of wasting them. There. So if you're tying a fly where you want the structure, that's funny. Hey, Ray, good to have you in, mate. Well, that would be accurate. Wear it with pride, my friend. I should have used my longer stacker for this. 1 second. We're gonna get long stacker. There we go. Make sure it's clean. Okay, and you don't have to stack this. I'm just trying to make a pretty fly. If you're just fishing these, just honestly grab a chunk, roughly pull out the short stuff and get it on the hook. It's not going to make a huge difference for the fish. If you're fishing in dead spots like eddies and pools, then it makes a bit of a difference. But generally speaking, a lot of these flies are going to be fished in very fast-moving rocky water, so it's not really going to be affecting the movement a whole lot, to be honest. But you know, if you want to go the extra mile, this will help. This fur is going to be more lifelike and have a lot more movement to it than that longer strand that we pulled out. But they're still useful. They just have their different uses. Okay, now you can see most of those tips are pretty much lined up, and that's really all we need to worry about. Going much farther than that's really not going to help. Again, you want to keep these guys sparse, like, so you can see through it. It's the ability to see through and the colors that this makes with the transparency that makes the fly work. And to mimic the, well, in this case, you're mimicking a small bait fish, basically. We're going to go just a hair longer than the previous one. Oh, I got to get my thread in the right spot. 1 second. So we're going to tie this in just after the last one. So I'm leaving about a bodkin. Where'd my bodkin go? I'm leaving about a bodkin width. Basically, they're very similar. Like I was talking before, we're probably going to do some black-nosed daces after. They're very, very similar. But I'm going to leave a bodkin width from where I'm tying this in. If you get too close, you're going to flare this back hair, and we don't want to do that. So I want to be on the other side of those loose wraps that we tied in. And if the hair is being too crazy for you, honestly, just throw some, wet it down a bit. Little spit, little water, little tea, whatever you got access to, be fine. Again, loose wrap. We're not doing the circles, but if you are having trouble with it flaring or moving on you, you can loop it with the thread like we were mentioned before. Just gonna do 2, 3 really soft wraps there. Once you have the soft wraps here, you don't want to work back towards the hook point, you want to work towards the eye. And about another 3. Your traded cards were cool, man. I thoroughly was enjoying those earlier. And it's perfectly okay to blow some brain cells on that kind of thing. So again, just lightly. Now what I'm going to do here, I got 6 wraps on there. I'm going to cut this, but I'm going to be cutting it large. There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of chemicals and stuff. You don't know what's in it, so... But, you know, we all do. It's like, don't put the lead pellets in your mouth when you're squishing split shot. It's like, I've been doing that since I was 5. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's good. Anyway, so you cut that a bit long. And then when you bring up your thread, you're going to go in between. And a lot of times I'll have to use my thumb to kind of hold the thread so I can get it and work it in between and then down. So hopefully you saw that. And I'll do another one. Again, I'll hold it with my thumb just so I can keep the tension on. Work it in between and then down. Bring it in again and down. I think that's where you get superpowers from, right? Okay, and those couple wraps in the middle, that's just going to stop it from pulling out, and it makes it a lot tougher. Each one of these sections, if you really want to, you can put a little bit of head cement. I don't like to, but you can. Now, after you got those 3 or 4 wraps in between, you can come in and shorten it up again. If you shorten it ahead of time, a lot of times it'll bounce around and just give you some problems, so it's easier to leave it a little bit longer than come in after you get those couple wraps in. Minding your threads, of course. You don't want to overdo it. And I just want to do like 3 or 4 kind of medium to light wraps to get those ends to down. There you go. I almost never get my face on live. Just really the angle of my cameras that I don't really care about that part, but you're welcome to grab a shot. There's that like two little strands here that are just, it doesn't matter if it goes below the fly, I just like them up. Nah, whatever, it's gonna be a toot. Okay, so the next one, like I said, traditional would be to continue on with yellow on top of that. I really like this kind of fire orange. It's just money to me, so we're gonna go with that. And I'm gonna be grabbing it more from the tip, but not quite up at the tip, so down a couple inches. Yeah, if you don't want to stack this stuff, like I said, you're more than welcome to not stack it. You can just split it like I showed you, and then just save that other bit that you pulled out for the next fly, and then you'll kind of inadvertently stack it, and kind of looks like it. No, the sun x-rays will give you more power to see the fish through the... Hey, good for you, Doug. I like watching your ocean picture videos. Sometimes I wish I was closer to the ocean. It's such a cool thing. I could spend all day like just beach combing and just looking for junk that washes up on the shore. Probably good thing I don't live closer, or I'd probably have a pile of junk from the ocean. And just like the randomness of what you can find for fish species and stuff too, because you know, almost anything technically could come in. Whew. Okay, so we're pulling out all the loose stuff. There's quite a bit. This is a really dirty patch of tail, and it's honestly, I should probably wash it again. It's still kind of greasy. I've already washed it once, but it's a very dirty, greasy patch of hair, so it's going to take me a minute. Well, thanks for hanging in there, guys. As you can see how much I'm pulling out of it. I really should have got some my Scotch Guard spray. Didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal because we just had a big rainstorm. Normally that gets the static down quite a bit, but apparently. Alright, so again we got probably double or triple what we need here. Yeah, it's one of those things like it's only bad for you if it gets in your system the wrong way, right? So, and you have to get it really hot to actually have like lead fumes. So if you're just melting it and you have some ventilation, it's not really that bad. I think in a lot of cases it's the impurities that are probably more dangerous, like the mercury or tin and stuff that can be in it. Wow, it just keeps coming. Come on, clean out, buddy. Jeez. Just when I think I got enough pulled out. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, and then I'm going to stack it. So I'm going to pull along here again. We'll get those long guard hair tips. You can see them all nice, like right out here. That's probably right where I'm going to stop. So you can see I'll get that. You can see them poking through. I roughly got the right spot right about there. So I'm going to loosen up with this fingers and then pull with these. It's a little hard to do with this one because, like I said, it's still kind of greasy. So they're sticking together a bit. There you go. So now we got one long strands, one short strands. But that drastically reduced our steps we need to do for clearing it out. And these are almost all, when you do that, there's one longer one there, we'll just get rid of him. But you can see you don't even really need to stack it because they're all roughly the right height. I'm going to anyway. I don't expect it to stack very well because these are very sticky. And I do need to just wash it with some blue Dawn soap. I'll let it dry, but I keep forgetting. That's just part of the dye process more than anything. They really should have washed it better. It might have got stuck, you know, on the side of a drum or something when they were processing them. So we're going to drop that in. There's enough there for probably 2 flies, to be honest. I'm not expecting big things because this stuff sticks together real well, but if it gets a little bit better than it is, it will be golden. There we go, it is stacking. You can see the tips are changing size there. My cat always likes to sleep on top of all my deer hair. I can hear the bags crimpling in the background as he's making a little bed out of it. It's like, I need those, man. It's not a bed. Alright, I'm gonna pull this out. There's all our tips. You can see that not a whole lot came to the bottom there, but we get some fluff. But that's fine. This part doesn't need to be perfect by any means. That's probably about as perfect as we're gonna get, to be honest. There we go. So I'm gonna split this in half. At least in half, anyway. Like so. There we go. Yeah, I prefer the yellow, red, orange. The traditional pattern is yellow, red, yellow. But for me, that whole like sunset shade color just it looks better. I find it just performs better. But yeah, for me, like that's just fire. Like literally, like it just looks so good. And I tend to get way better hookups on this. This is one of my kind of go-tos for the Thompson River. It works really well for whitefish too, actually. If you tie these in smaller sizes like 10s or 8s or 6s, depending on the size of the whitefish in your area, this works a treat for whitefish. They friggin' love it. Especially in the fall, because they come in and eat all the eggs. So anything like these colors, they really key in on. Hey, good to see you. Hopefully Mrs. Superfly's having a better day today. So again, loose wrap. I'm just going to work this back about 3 wraps. And then forward again. And just a little bit more tension as we're going forward. There we go. There. That's the colors I like personally, and that's what I'm going to be tying today, but I don't know. I think it looks money. And more importantly, it works. Alright, so we got about 6 wraps or so there, just like we had on the first one. I'm going to come in and cut this off a little bit long again, but square, just like so. Yeah, I really like it. But yeah, I think it was Iwa's mentioned that he wanted some coho hooks. These work awesome for coho. And so I'm going to send him probably this one, but I'll send him a couple anyway. But I really, really enjoy tying steelhead flies and salmon flies. Especially this time of year. It's like the candy of the fly tying world because they're beautiful. You get to play with like more exotic materials. So we got about 3 wraps in there, and then gonna do 2 up there. Yeah, you just size it down. Yeah, a steelhead's just a big trout, right? Hey, Rob, good to have you in. All good if you gotta go, mate. Some cat hair sticking up front. 1 second. Yeah, hands down. A brown trout would murder this thing. If I was doing it for brown trout specifically, though, honestly, especially around here, I'd tie it in a gold color instead of the silver for the body. For whatever reason, brown trout around here seem to really key in on that silver brass color. Oh, is that actually my thread? I have a broken thread there somewhere? No, in either case. I'm gonna try and cut that fluff off now on there. Got most of it kind of pinned down. Okay. Probably cut that a hair short, should have left it a bit longer. And we're just gonna do the magic Sharpie trip. Okay, I'll try and get my fingers back a bit, but yeah, you're right, I do kind of need to hold it in that spot, unfortunately. But... Oh, we're gonna be doing all good, mate. I'm gonna be on. You'll have the VOD too. Just because this stuff is so brightly colored, if it sticks through at all, yeah, it's gonna make kind of an ugly head. So the Sharpie marker trick is always awesome. Use it, cry less. It's just a lot easier than trying to bury all that, even though it's gonna get buried. If there's one little piece sticking through, you know, it'll be very, very noticeable. Okay, there, we're good. See you, Trudge. Good luck with the wife. There we go. I'm using an 8. Yeah, you definitely, or am I using 8 or 6? Yeah, black nail polish. Sorry, 6. Yeah, it looks like I did actually get a... I thought it was cat hair, but it looks like I actually caught my hook, or there's a fray in my thread here, so I'm just gonna... I'm at a good point anyway, because I'm at the point where I'm gonna be wrapping this head up. But I'm just gonna overwrap that. You can throw some little eyeballs on these too. A lot of people like to do that. I don't think it affects the fishing at all. But, you know, if you got some little plastic eyeballs you want to stick on there, definitely something Superfly would do. Because all his flies have personality. Alright, I'm just throwing in some half hitches there because I'm a little worried about my thread. I thought it was cat hair that got stuck in there on my fingers or something, and it looks like it was just frayed thread, unfortunately. Okay, so my main goal at this point is going to be to build the head now. And I'm going to start with just even wraps all the way along and building up the bulk of the head evenly over across the whole length of the head. I'm going to be stopping right where we tied in that orange and slowing the tension down. So I'm not adding a lot of tension, I'm just adding bulk. There you go. Why do you keep going down that one? I want to keep you in there because I like you sticking down, but you're sticking down a little too much for me. Just behave yourself. There you go. I like that. Like that. Just stay like that. Okay, so I get about halfway down the head, like here. If you got some white and black and yellow and/or yellow nail polish, you can just do a dab with like a little stick. But when I get about halfway on the head, I'm going to put in some head cement on. If you put it on later, it won't soak through all those fibers, or it'll have trouble soaking through all those fibers anyway. So it's a good idea to start with your head cement early, do some more wrapping, add some more head cement, and then at the end is when you're going to do a nice glossy. See, there's another I don't know. I thought it was cat hair. I'm a little bit worried that my thread's separating or not. No, and again, this goes to like how I fish these because they take a beating kind of bouncing along the bottom. I'll use a fast sinking line if I'm fly fishing, or I'll throw these on a bait caster with a lead weight and bounce it along the bottom. But they take a fair bit of abuse. Okay, so we're going to leave that for a second. I'm going to finish building that head. For the head shape, it's probably easier if I put my hand up so you can see it. This is a decent head shape. I do like to have mine quite bulbous and big and round. So we're going to work on like a lemon shape basically, so it's thicker on the middle than on either side. And I'm just going to hold this. Hopefully I'm not in your guys' way again. I'm just going to hold that and we're going to work on building this middle up. And this is why you wouldn't want to use a 6/0 thread. It would just take forever to build your head up. And there's really no point. You'd also cut more deer hair. You can use it even thicker if you have a thicker denier thread. That would work as well too. Oh, thank you. That's a stimulator. Which is kind of like a related fly to this, I suppose. There we go, now we're getting that shape. Yeah, I don't know if it's just a species thing or if it's a local thing, but I just know they really like that kind of gold brassy color. Like if I'm throwing like a spinner or something, if a brassy colored willow leaf or something is going to work better than a silver. Not sure why, just the way it is. Okay, so now we got a much more bulbous head there, and that's the way I like it. So we're going to whip finish that off and get that rest of that yeah, it's almost like a cheat code because it literally stimulates the trout, and hence the name. But it works as an attractor pattern, as a dry pattern, and you can pull it down and have it as a merger. You can, when they get all beat up, it kind of imitates a cripple. There's just like a very robust and useful fly. But, you know, hence it ends up on t-shirts. I'm going to do my tie off just a little bit up from the eye, so it'll get a nice coating of varnish. I don't know why those, I mean, it's like such a picky little thing, but those couple little yellow there we go. Okay, let's get some, yeah. Like so many things, you're right, it even represents like a hopper or like a terrestrial, just like so many things. All the stuff. One other trick you can do if you, and I should show it to you now before I get more glue on this thing. Where did I put it? One second. I normally have another piece that I use for this. It's a orange rubber. It's basically an orange rubber tube that you slide over top of a pencil as like a grip, and that works well for me. But if you have like a wing that's just going cattywampus and it's just not staying for you, you can get it wet, get it to kind of where you want it, and then slide this tube over it, and then just walk away and leave it like that for whatever 15-20 minutes for it to dry. You can put it in its drying area while you're waiting, and then when you pull it off, it'll be much more tame. So if you have some bucktail that's just going all over the place for you and it's very soft and puffing out, that's a great trick to get it to behave itself. Alright, so let's get some more head cement on there and make it shiny and pretty. Yeah, you can go up a size in thread as well because it will use less. And I don't need a very thick coating of the actual head cement here. I just want an even coating because the nail polish is going to provide the shine. This is just to soak through. This will melt the wax on the thread and soak into the head. If you're using UV glue, it's very important, if you want it to be fairly robust and sturdy anyway, to do 2 sets of that, because the UV glue won't really soak in at all, because in order for it to set, it needs to have the UV hit it, right? And it can't do that if it's 3 or 4 wraps underneath. No UV is going to get to the glue. So that is a benefit to using the older style stuff like this, because it will penetrate much deeper. And it'll get tacky. You'll know when you got enough on there. There we go. That's good. It's starting to get tacky. Now we'll just give that a second, and then we'll put the Sally Hansen's on top. Sally Hansen's will mix with that because the majority of the head cement is acetone, which is, you know, paint or nail polish thinner, so it will mix with the head cement and then give it a nice hard shell on the top. And again, if you're using just Sally Hansen's, it again only has so much penetrating power, so it won't go super deep. It'll stay on the surface. Not as much as UV, mind you, but it will still stay on the surface. So, there's one little spot there that's just not quite getting it. Nice glossy black head like that. Could have probably spent a few more minutes to get it nice and smooth, but that's good enough. Hey! Cool, I got a couple Mitchell reels. I bet. I got a couple Mitchell reels. They're nice reels. I really like them. I got several. Got some Mitchell fly reels too. Yeah. I probably could have done a few more wraps to smooth that head out a bit, but I mean, whatever. It's pretty good. Could have been a little more teardrop shaped, but that's what you're going for. I haven't in a while, but I can. They're fun too. Yeah, Johnson's a good one too. I mean, as long as you take care of the old reels, as far as like, I was trying to get this centered in the vise a little better. As long as you take care of them and grease them up, they'll work for a lifetime for you, right? They almost never break really, as they made them to last back then too. Hey, so there we go. That is a Mickey fin. At least my version of it. I'm just trying to get these. I know I'm being like super fussy, but gotta get him ready for his close-up for his spin and spiel here. I feel like I could have probably put just a shock, a little bit more red in there. I don't know. Nah, actually, no, that's pretty good. I like that. It's fun to clean them. I like taking old reels apart, and a lot of, especially like in a lot of cases, they're very serviceable, right? Like, if you go back too far, then you're into like the flathead screws and bolts, which can be a bit of a pain in the butt. But yeah, most old reels were meant to be serviced, so they're, well, they're serviceable, but like they're fun to, you know, to go through and to do that. Okay, we're gonna do a spin and spiel on this guy, and then we'll get on to another one. And in the vise today, we have a Mickey fin. This is a wonderful attractor pattern. This is very similar and related to the black nose dance. These work excellent for coho, steelhead, and lots of different versions of salmon. You can tie these down to like a size 12, even for trout, and they work great. You need to have some moving water, so typically you'd be fishing these in streams, rivers, and tributaries or mouth openings where the river comes in. A wonderful little pattern. You should definitely have a couple of these in your box for the upcoming salmon season. Thanks kindly. Wonderful little thing. Kind of forgot to talk about what was actually in the fly, so oops. Yeah, I'm happy with this one. This one's going to go off to Ewas because he came up with the idea. I'm just going to throw this stack here in the stacker so we're ready to go for that. We got enough hair already kind of separated for another fly, so get right onto that here. Should be a lot quicker. Okay, let's put him in the middle. Come on out. Yeah, we're gonna do up like a good half a dozen of these because I want to give a few of these away. We got a good amount of viewers that are gonna be, including myself, going for some salmon. Like I said, I'm tying these on a little bit of a thinner gauge wire hook. These are Mustang though, they're not like a cheap hook. But if you go a thicker gauge, like I'd use on a bait caster, then you'll typically find that they will be hard to cast with a fly rod because they're just too heavy. So this is kind of what I found to be like a perfect happy medium, where the hook's nice and strong enough that it's gonna land a good sized fish. Hey Rob, good to have you in, mate. Doing up some Mickey fins today. Just missed the one, but we're doing up another, so it's all good. Good time to pop in. Yeah, so we're gonna be using 6/0 uni. Does it have a nice ticker to it? For like, you know, just over like over a foot size trout, at least an 8, probably a 6, to be honest. I'd probably go a hair bigger because you might land something bigger. It's probably better to err on the side of caution instead of losing something. And like these ones are also like a 3 or 4 times long as well, right? So you can go a bit shorter, do like a 2 times. You want to match where you're going to be tying in your bucktail, basically. That's kind of a chunky underbody, but we'll make it work. So again, we want to have thread base, in my opinion. A lot of people will tie this just directly bare shank. I've always found that they slip and cause problems. You can apply the glue directly to the shank, but again, just with my experience with fishing with them after, they don't last nearly as long, and those are the ones that I generally have problems with. So avoid the aggravation, just make a nice thread layer. And it doesn't have to be, you can see I'm missing some spots, it's not like exactly butt to butt, because we want to have that, we want to have some penetration from the glue. Yeah, that too. It gives it like that little bit of oomph. The fly honestly does look better with a thicker shank hook. Like I just put them away. I kind of wish I kept them out. But I'll be doing some up with some for bait casters after. It's about twice the thickness. Really? Oh no. Well, he lives to fight another day. That's the worst when you get them, like, it's almost better if they got off, you know, long before that, right? Oh, it's the worst when you just, like, especially when you have them, like, touch your net. It's like, that counts. Totally counts. It's mine. Okay, so we got enough here for this one. I don't know if I got enough for 2, but we definitely have enough for 1. But yeah, I feel you, man. That's the worst when you have it close to the net. Oh, that was a beautiful spot. I saw that picture, man. That was gorgeous. Is it like a restaurant or is that your deck? Because that is absolutely gorgeous there. I'm assuming it's a restaurant. Do you live that close to a river? That's amazing. If it is your place. Okay, kind of figured. I don't know, honestly, like, if I owned land, because I've lived right next to a river before, behind a dike, and I don't know if I'd want to live that close. I don't know if I'd want to live as close as that river is to the restaurant, just because of all the problems that come with living next to a river, like high water and stuff. But, you know, it's beautiful. Okay, so we're doing open wrap spirals back, and then I'll do about 3 wraps right at the base to stop it from pulling out. So like right here. Now one problem I did do that I try not to do, but I did do, is I like to tie these in along my side or one side of the fly. In this case I tied it kind of I don't know, I don't consider that being skunked if you actually get one on. You know, I know a lot of people do, but I personally don't. If you get the fish on and you can play it and you have that experience, I don't consider that being skunked. But I know a lot of people do. But personally, I think that's a win. But yeah, anyway, I love grayling. Grayling's on my bucket list. I've never caught one. I've gone through a couple creeks and rivers that had grayling, but I've never actually caught one. I would love to catch a grayling though. That is on my bucket list. But you can see here where I started tying it in, it was nice and straight, and then it twisted. Not a big deal, but I do try to keep that nice and straight, and that's not as straight as I'd like it to be. Not the end of the world at all. It's just something I try to work on. Well, Rob will do that. You know, he makes a lot of grown men cry. Only 4 fishing days? Why? You guys closed season or something, or what? There we go. So we got our underwire, or in this case, silver tinsel tied in. Now we'll tie our over tinsel in. Yeah, this one's a little bit damaged. We'll tie it in on this side, it's less damaged. Now, at least you didn't take your lunch money. Oh. Yeah, I mean, you guys get pretty cold weather down there. Yeah, I just ordered a new paddle board. I'm hoping it'll get here in time to take it out before the water gets too cold again. Our lakes hold the heat pretty well, but they are definitely starting to cool off. I'm hoping to get out a couple times and get some paddleboard fishing going. The canoe will still be there until it gets dangerous. Yeah, I know that's an argument I guess you could have, but for me it's like if I got the enjoyment of catching it and I got to play it out a bit, you know, I'm happy. I'm good. That was a fight, you know. If you just get it on or something and it comes off, then yeah, definitely don't. Depending on the style of float tube and how seated you are, there's some that you can. Some that are designed that way. Oh, blue jays are out again. I prefer canoe and bank fishing. Oh, I know. There's so many people that would agree with you. That's very true. Yeah, same with here. They get a lot harder to catch as soon as things cool off, which is any time now. But some of my most enjoyable fishing takes place this time of year too, so there's also that. Okay. I don't, I just honestly feel like it's not good sportsmanship because you can literally like just walk out there and pick them up. You know, like if they're spawning, a lot of people do though, and a lot of people fish like the mouths of the spawning beds in the rivers, and that's a little bit more sportsmanlike. But honestly, like, yeah, I love it when they're aerobatic, like the kokanees we have here. They're like little jumping crazy fools. The kokanees really will put up a nice fight, like aerobatically. If you want like a good fighting underwater fish, then the whitefish are probably my favorite for how they fight when you get them on. They're like little motorboats. They just torque it. They're a lot of fun to catch, and you can eat them too, but a lot of people don't. Yeah, again, depend on the style. Like we have quite a few here that we use that you can just wear, like, I mean, if you want to, you can wear a wetsuit in it, but you can get by with just wearing you know, sweatpants or whatever. But a lot of them, like, you're up high enough. You definitely want to have a life jacket. That's crazy because the sturgeon we have here don't like. Yeah, that's true. If you have a nice. Really? Hard kokanee fight like crazy here. They are expensive, and the problem is that you. It's like a double-edged sword because, like, the better they work, the more you sweat and the less they breathe. It's like wearing a trash bag. But it'll keep you warm, but then you'll be cold because you'll, after an hour of fishing, you'll be kind of sitting in a puddle of your own sweat. And then depending on the style you get to, you got to be worried about, you know, having a proper PFD, personal flotation device with it, because some of them will float you, but other ones will fill up with water and be almost impossible to swim in. And people can get themselves in trouble if they've never attempted to swim in one before. Okay, that's not bad. I like that one too. That turned out really well. I'm actually having some luck with these. Yeah, very true. Very true. And then you end up like a bloated fish or something. You know? Like flop around the beach trying to get the water out of your waders. I've been there. And it weighs so much too, like when you're trying to get. Yeah. One thing that works really well for that, actually, if you got an old pair of like oversized or large actual wool like work socks, the wool really helps to like grip onto slippery rocks really, really well. That's why a lot of wading boots will have like felt on the bottom. But you know, if you're cheap and or don't have the money for it, just get big old wool socks and put it over top of whatever boots you got, or even running shoes. And it's amazing how well that actually grips to the rocks. Rubber just doesn't do it when you got that slime all over it, you know. Oh, I forgot to put my glue on here. But fail, Nimby, fail. 3 demerits. Hey, thanks PNW. That's awesome. You can help out someone else out with some materials. Thanks, mate. Really? I didn't know that. I guess it makes sense because you can get a lot of microbes living in it. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of like you're right, I've seen people like full on PFDs, and if they don't have the waders, because a lot of times people will be boring a pair or it's not sized right for them, so it'll be quite a bit larger. And then if you fall in the wrong way, it'll just, the river has so much force, it'll just fill them up with water. And yeah, it's enough that it can drag you right under with a life jacket. Rock's not, yeah. It's just nasty. Like, it's so slippy. I didn't know it was like an invasive thing, or if it was like, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be invasive, but like non-native, I suppose, would be the term I'm looking for. And do one wrap at the back there. Get it up on the edge here, and then we'll wrap it up. I forgot to tie up my bobbin too, but that's fine. Let's give you about 6 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I know it's just one of those things that a lot of people just don't, not necessarily pay attention to, but it just doesn't even cross your mind that it's going to be that dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, I found in like those kind of rivers like Clearwater or other ones that we have around here, I'm honestly better off just to have some long socks. I'll even wear like my winter long johns and that kind of thing underneath, and then it keeps you warmer, and it also honestly keeps like the leeches and other bugs and stuff from getting up into your skin. And then having one pair of socks over those, regular like sneakers that I don't care about, and then some wool socks over top the sneakers, and that works really well. And you can just tear it off. Really? We got lots of marmots here. Marmots are awesome. I love watching marmots. Like, you can just sit there and watch them do their thing by the holes, and they have so much little personality, you know. And get this clipped off. I'm gonna move that back a hair because I'm gonna need a little bit more room to tie that in. Yeah, I don't know. That might be enough to do one more. We'll try. If I don't tie it in the full body length, I can probably use that. I might just save it for another fly though. That is true. Same with ours. Our water can get, well, literally coming from glaciers, right? So it can get cold. Thank you, appreciate that. That's kind of my goal. Have a nice chill chat and tie session, you know? Okay, so like I was saying before, I didn't mention this. You can see the fairly thick thread body there. You need something to compress in both. You need something to compress in both. What's the word I'm looking for? Angles, I guess. It's not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying. It needs to be able to compress from the top and the bottom. If you're doing it directly to the hook shank, it's gonna flare it's way harder to control your flare. So I normally want that to be about the length of my bobbin or half hitch tool, and then about half of that length over here, which is normally 2 of these for where I'm gonna leave for the head. And then the head will continue on over top of that. Okay, so we'll get the, I'm gonna do one, yeah, I'll do one. Wish I knew where my other longer half hitch tool went, because I don't see it. It's been missing for a couple days. I know I dropped it or something, but let's use fingers. I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, I guess they could cause a lot of trouble that way. They don't seem to care about, you know, whether they have an operating license or not. Just trying to work my, got the half hitch kind of in the wrong spot. Yeah, our tap water is nice and cold. That's annoying. I got that half hitch kind of slid over on me. Let's try that again. Hey, Jack. Hey, Yoshi. Good to have you in, man. Yeah, even here, I mean, like, the glaciers when I was a kid and we went and saw them, I mean, everything seems bigger when you're a kid, but they were literally, like, bigger. A lot bigger. There's not much left of them. Which is kind of scary, because I'm sure that's going to impact things. Really? That's funny. I know they like to do that. You don't think about that kind of stuff until you have a problem like that, you know? Okay, so we got our tapped off. No, it doesn't look very well stacked, does it? Let's try that one more time. That's a little better. Doesn't need to be perfect. Not by any means. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, man. It's all good. We got stuff to do. We'll be here next time. Always a pleasure to have you in, even if it's for a short go. Later, Superfly. I'll go right about there. Bugging out. I see what you did there. That's funny. Especially funny because it's coming from Superfly. Okay, so about 3 wraps. Trying to keep this on top here. And so it doesn't flare a whole lot. Just going to check the flare. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy with that. That'll do fine. And we're going to cut this long and then we'll recut it, but I just want it not as flared as it is right now. So about here. Yeah. There. I moved it just a whiff when I did that, unfortunately, but yeah, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, feel free. We're here almost every day tying flies and enjoying each other's company. Okay, I got that tied in. Now I'm gonna cut that shorter and bury it in. One thing you can also do is just burn it with a lighter, and that'll help seal the ends as well. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. I'll just bury this in here. And we'll get any parts that are showing through after. I got one long. I do have one long one there. And we'll get any parts that are showing through as we tie it in. So we got yellow, red's next. Where'd my red go? Red. There you are. These are super long. Holy crow. I might need a little more red. I don't think that's enough. We'll get this stacked up though and I'll grab some more. I thought I had it split, but I guess I used it all. I don't even know if I can stack that. Too long. Try. No, it did stack. I don't think that's enough though. I like a little more red in there. I mean, you could do that. Yeah, I'm gonna get just a little bit more. One second. Let's just grab some longer fibers here to match that. Yeah, it's a good go-to for almost everything. Tree pounder. Reminds me, Turner did a funny tree pounder thing not too long ago. I like Turner stuff. He's been going hard at those urchin plastics and stuff lately too. Just kind of lining these all up manually here. Okay, that'll be enough. Man, just gonna trim those, are way too long. Sorry guys, kind of fighting with us. Probably should have had this. I thought I had enough, but I didn't. I'm just trying to compensate. Yeah, I love it when I'm like walking down like by a lake or creek or river or something in the winter when all the water is like frozen up, and you'll be walking by a tree and you'll see this like spinner or whatever stuck in the tree branch. You're like, I know where that came from. That's cool. That poor bugger lost his hook. Okay. There we go. It's a little more robust. Alright, I know I'm playing with this a little too much, but I just want it to look pretty. So we're gonna go just a little bit longer than the yellow. Right there's probably good. Again, soft wrap. Right on top. And 2 soft wraps. I bet. There we go. That's a nice shocker red. This one might actually be a little too dense, but whatever. It's gonna look pretty anyway. 3 or 4 more wraps, and we'll cut that off. Tag it in. Yeah, why not? You make good stickers, man. Yeah. That's how you know the tree's like in the business. It knows what's going on. Okay. I'll get rid of that tag end. Really? That's cool. I just watched a video this morning about it with a whopper plopper in it. Yeah, those aren't cheap, and they last a while if you don't lose it. I've gotten some nice Daiwa fly rods out of lakes too, just by kind of trolling my. Hey, I'm actually making one of these for you, mate. Good to see you drop in, actually. You asked for some coho flies. This is one of the ones I like to tie for it, so we got yours already done here. In there. A Mickey fin for you, so I'll be sending you one of these guys. Good to have you in, mate. I'm pretty sure I got your address already, but if I don't, or whether I do or not, just send me your address by email so I can mail it to you. These are my favorite coho flies. Yeah, that's looking good. Liking that. Okay, now we got the nice shock orange to tie in. No worries, I want to get about half a dozen of these done, because I want to send out to a few people, including yourself. And has a couple for myself to go fish at the river with, but I do mine a little bit different than the traditional is. I lost my favorite lure, which is just like a wedding band, but it was like a wedding band I've had for like, I don't know, 7-8 years. It's an old wedding band, and it was just always the lure that came back. You know, like I never ended up losing it. I had it forever, and I lost it on a live stream when I was fishing down by the airport, and I was like, oh my god! But I know where it is, so when the river goes down, I can go back there and try to find it. Yeah, that's right. I love the like yellow, red, orange kind of sunset colors on this. Just money. Yeah, that'll work well right there. Yeah, I don't typically get upset about losing flies because I always expect to kind of lose them, but I don't like losing lures. It's like, oh, I want you back. Come on back. Because a lot of times when I'm losing a lure, it's because I can't see what I'm stuck on anyway, so it's you always have that question in the back of your head, like, what did I get caught on? Is it a log? Is it a giant fish that I just can't bring up off the bottom? Most of the time it's a giant fish, right? Yeah, but if you get a minute, doesn't have to be today, but preferably today because I'm going to be sending some mail out today. Drop me your mailing address. Flytyingwithnimby at gmail.com, and I'll get this off to you. Hopefully it'll get there before so you can fish with it. But yeah, I think for the next week or two I'm just going to stick to switch over and do some steelhead flies. Because they're fun to tie, they're beautiful, they're really enjoyable to tie. It's just a totally different, not skill set or anything, but it's a different like material set, so I gotta get all my different gear out. Oh no. Talk about like finding, like, we're talking about finding like lost lures and then you just come across some guy's teeth. I mean, it's horrible to lose, but it would be hilarious to come across some. Kind of creepy, to be honest, coming across someone's teeth. Okay, so we got a couple little spots I got to hit with the Sharpie there that are poking through on the underside. I guess I didn't cut them close enough. Away with you. There we go. There. So much easier than trying to like bury every little nook and cranny. Excuse me, more tea. More tea. There we go. Yeah, I'll send you these two. I'll send you these two flies, Ewas. Mostly because I like this one better than the first one. This has a much better shaped head to it. Yeah, I got a little practice in. It's been a minute. Okay, so we're gonna do half hitch right there. Dude. Finger half hitches aren't sliding like they should be. That's a pretty fly. I'm happy with him. Okay, so just gonna put some head cement on here and then we'll whip finish. And this will start to soak in while we get the second layer on. And these are a lot prettier with some eyeballs, but I don't typically put them on mine. I said, if you want eyeballs, fill your boots. They do look really cool. There we go. We want that to soak in a bit, and we'll get another layer on there, and then Sally Hansen's. Come on up. Yeah, these work a treat. There we go. Such a beautifully simple fly, too. Gorgeous thing. Super happy with that one. There we go. That's a shape of head I like to the perfect. It's got a little nub from the, or cut the thread off. Probably should have cut it just a hair shorter, but you know. Overall, that's a beautiful fly. I'm happy with that one. Let's get this set just a little straighter. Ah, close enough. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you kind of need moving water for these. Like you're gonna be, it's imitating a small bait fish, right? So you're gonna be somewhere where the bait fish are gonna be. There you go. Yeah, it's a wonderful steelhead fly. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that, mate. Just gonna refresh this here, and then we'll get to our spin and spiel. There, I'm happy Ewaz dropped in and we can actually give him the flies. That's awesome. Thanks, Ewaz. Appreciate that, man. This was your idea from yesterday's tying session. So I appreciate the idea. That was kind of, I wasn't really in a slump, but it's like I've tied most of those attractor trout flies like dozens of times, so it was kind of, wasn't like getting old. I love tying them all, but this was an excellent idea to switch over to steelhead and salmon flies. Oh, almost out of tea. Alright, so we're gonna do a quick spin and spiel on this guy. I'll be right back. Thanks for waiting, guys. Just hit 2 hours. And the vice today, we have a Mickey fin. Tied this one up for our wonderful follower, Ewaz. Yeah, had some recommendations for some coho / steelhead hooks, and this is one of my favorite, Mickey fin. It's a wonderfully easy pattern to tie, but just works all over the place. You're going to be wanting to fish this in moving water, so obviously creeks, rivers, tributaries, openings, mouths of lakes, that sort of thing. It imitates a small bait fish, has a wonderful sunset colors on it, and it works so well. It just triggers them, and they come up and just nail it. Wonderful little pattern. Should definitely have a couple of these in your box, eh? Thanks kindly. There we go. Yeah, it really turned out good. I'm happy with that one. I'm happy with both of them, actually. Turned out real well. Fun little tie, super easy. It's a good pattern, like if you're getting into these type of black nose dance would probably be the one I'd start with, to be honest, but this one or a black nose dance is a wonderful starting place because the materials are easy to come by. I mean, you can get by with just 2 colors on this if you just want yellow and red or orange and red. You don't necessarily have to do the 3-tone. I just really like the way it looks. Just find that the color change, it mimics the same color change you get on a bait fish. Not in those colors, obviously, but all bait fish will have a lighter to darker, variant on them. But yeah, wonderful little pattern. You don't need anything expensive to tie these up with, and if you make any mistakes, they're pretty easy to shred off with a razor blade and start over. And they're gonna get beat up, and when they get completely beat up and trash, you can just shred them, retie them, go back out again. Yeah, wonderful little thing. I'm really happy with that. Turned out good. Okay, Ewaz, I'll send those off to you. Hopefully, if you sent me your address shortly here, I'll send them off today. Otherwise, they'll be out in the mail probably Monday. I might be able to get them out Friday. Hey, but we've been going for a little over 2 hours here, so I'm going to call it, guys. Just want to thank you all for hanging out with me. It was a great tie. I'm glad we could get those off for Ewaz. And we'll be doing up some more of them. We'll be doing up some more of them this week here because I want to fill my box up with salmon / steelhead stuff. So for the giveaways, you guys will be having a chance of some salmon and steelhead flies for the next week or two here. But yeah, thanks for hanging out all. Well, it's always a pleasure. You guys are the best community to hang out with, and all the awesome comments and support and everything, just fully appreciate it. Have a good day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, or maybe later tonight. We'll see how things go.